What is going on, people? Triple M back again with another video. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I would like to talk about arguably the most boring game of the Euros 2024 so far, that being the clash yesterday evening between Portugal and Czech Republic, a game which was honestly boring, and I think there was a serious lack of quality from both teams. I mean, first and foremost, Czech Republic, to be fair to them, they weren't really expected to win. So if there's any team in that game who gets away with the poor performance, it's them, because they just sat back, shuffled side to side for 90 minutes and basically asked Portugal to figure it out. That was their game plan, essentially, and Portugal struggled. The brightest moment for Czech Republic, I think, was obviously Lucas Provard's goal. Shout out to him. Probably would have won goal of the tournament if it wasn't for Arda Güler's strike for Turkey earlier on yesterday evening against Georgia, and some of the goals that Romania scored against Ukraine. If it wasn't for those two games, he probably would be candidate for goal of the tournament with that sensational strike. So shout out to him. Fantastic goal and a very memorable moment despite the dampening result. But let's talk about Portugal. They are very predictable. They are very boring as a team. I think stylistically, I struggled to figure out what they were doing. I struggled to analyze their shape tactically because it felt like they were just freestyling. Every time Portugal got into the final third, they were extremely predictable and extremely one-dimensional. It just felt like they're a team that doesn't really have any ideas. And it looks like Roberto Martinez just sent them out and said, figure it out. That's honestly what it felt like watching the game, because when they got into the final third, they would either do one of three things. One, take a hopeless shot from long range. You had guys like Cancelo, Delot, and even Mendes taking shots, and you're thinking, my brother, you're not that guy. The second thing they would do is spam balls into an empty box with nobody there. And look, you're allowed to make mistakes as a footballer. You're allowed to put a ball into an empty box every now and again. But considering how good Portugal are by comparison with Czech Republic, and considering that these guys are professional footballers, at some point you would think one of them would look up into the box and be like, oh, Ronaldo's not making the run yet. I'm going to chill. I'm going to cut back, recycle possession, hold the ball up, and continue to put pressure on this team that has just been sitting back the whole game. But no, they just kept spamming balls into an empty box. Anyways, the third thing that Portugal started doing, which was infuriating, and I'm not even a Portugal fan, I was just a neutral watching this, is it felt like they were trying to funnel so many of their attacks through Cristiano Ronaldo. And again, this has got nothing to do with Ronaldo's ability as a player, because I respect him as one of the greatest goal scorers of all time and one of the greatest players I've ever watched. But Portugal need to move past relying on Cristiano Ronaldo, because he can't do it on his own. He's not that guy anymore. He needs a support structure around him. And if you are going to funnel things through Ronaldo, then you need everybody else working extremely hard off the ball. A good example of this was Vitinha. The chance that was created through the link-up between him and Ronaldo, great bit of ingenuity by Ronaldo. I forget which minute of the game it was, but Ronaldo essentially was able to backheel the ball into space. And that play only works partly because of his ingenuity and Ronaldo's brilliance, but also because Vitinha actually makes the run. Portugal didn't do that enough yesterday. There wasn't enough 1-2 plays between a couple of players on the pitch. There wasn't enough players saying, look, let's have a bit of give and go. I'm going to pass the ball, run into space, and then you quickly pass it back. Every time someone passed the ball for Portugal, it felt like they were essentially just shifting responsibility to their teammate. It felt like somebody was basically saying, you've got the ball now, you figure it out. I'm just going to stroll back to my starting position and call it a day, basically. That's what it felt like watching Portugal. There was not enough movement off the ball to try engineer a chance. There is a few culprits for this. It wasn't just one player in particular. I don't want this to sound like a Ronaldo pylon, because it's not. Bernardo Silva was a huge culprit. I thought he was awful. It's like he forgot how to play football. And what is with Man City players at the Euros struggling? You had Phil Foden for England, who I thought had a really poor performance. You had Kevin De Bruyne and Jeremy Doku for Belgium. And some people will argue that Doku was Belgium's brightest player. But look, man, he was the best of a bad bunch. So that means he's still bad, because he's a part of the bad bunch. Just because you're the best of a bad bunch doesn't mean you had a good game. So for me, Doku was not good at all. And then obviously now Bernardo Silva. It's like they've all forgotten how to play football after leaving with Man City. It's just funny, right? Only the defenders really for Man City have played well, like Ake for Netherlands and arguably Ruben Diaz. He had an okay game yesterday. They're just awful. Bernardo Silva is just awful. Rafael Leao, also terrible performance by him. Absolutely terrible performance by him. Diego Dalot, I thought wasn't really that great. I didn't think Cancelo had a particularly great game. I thought Vitinha was probably Portugal's best player out of the people who actually started the game, and Pepe. Him and Pepe were probably the bright sparks. Everybody else was just awful. Nuno Mendes as well, taking long shots. It's like, my brother, you're not that guy. Relax. But other than that, I don't really have much else to say. I mean, we've got to talk about Roberto Martinez and his nationality. I was shocked to find out that this guy is Spanish because based on the football that he plays and some of his substitutions, it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. I don't buy for 1 second that this guy is Spanish because the football is horrendous. And it's not structured as well. I know some people think that the Spanish are very boring with their possession-based style. Cool. But can we at least agree that there is structure to it and that there is a clear identity? I can't figure out what Portugal's structure is in possession because it looks so disorganized. Players are drifting into spaces where you're thinking, bro, how are you being useful for your team there? And on top of that, his substitutions don't make any sense at all. I don't know why he took off Vitina and left Bruno on the pitch because I thought Vitina was probably better out of the two of them. I don't know why he's so afraid to take off Ronaldo and try something new because at the end of the day, nobody should be bigger than the national team. And I know Ronaldo fans will hate hearing that because they think he's literally God and they worship him, but it's the truth. It's the truth. At some point, you have to be willing to make difficult decisions. I say this about Harry Kane in England all the time. I get that Harry Kane is one of the greatest players to ever play for England and one of the greatest goal scorers. Cool. But at some point, you have to be able to hook him off, even if it's for the last 5 minutes, just to try something new, especially if he's not impacting the game. And I felt like that about Ronaldo yesterday, right? Despite the fact that a sub did come off the bench, I think it was Conceição, who, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who scored the goal for Portugal. The rest of his substitutions were awful. Ruben Neves, underutilized. João Neves, underutilized. Paulina, underutilized. Nunes, underutilized. Even Felix. Someone like João Felix would have been very useful in yesterday's game when you're playing against a rigid low block, which is very hard to break down. Somebody who can do a bit of give and go, has good link-up play, good at dribbling through tight spaces. He definitely would have been very helpful in a game like this, where it was just such a congested pathway between Portugal's midfield and Czech Republic's goal, right? They were very compact and they were sitting in a very deep low block. Someone like Felix definitely would have helped unlock. I mean, he couldn't have been worse than some of the players who are on the pitch, is what I'm trying to say. So, I don't know, man. Roberto Martinez got away with one. He got away with one. And you have to wonder, against a good team, how this Portugal team will fare. Again, it's only the first game of the tournament, so there's nothing to be too overly outraged by if you're a Portugal fan. But I low-key would be fuming with that performance. And I would not be optimistic about Portugal's prospects in the Euros at all, just going off of that performance. Hopefully things improve for their sake and the sake of their fans and also for the sake of the neutrals, right? Because I want to see this Portugal team do well. They've got such an exciting crop of players. By comparison with France, comparison with England and Germany, I think this Portugal team is really underrated. And I think they really do have some genuinely magnificent players. It's just unfortunate that they don't have the right type of manager. So hopefully Roberto Martinez proves me wrong because I want to see a good Portugal team, because I want to see a good competitive Euros tournament as a neutral. That's all it's about for me. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Leave a like on the video if you want to support the channel. And as usual, subscribe if you're new. It's been your boy Triple M. Have a good day. Peace.